Hello and welcome to Third Thursday. This is September's Third Thursday, 2015, and we're doing it again.
Yes, we are.
So, a few things we always like to start off with, and that is what exactly is Third Thursday? And what we do is we have a prompt for an illustration,
Mhm.
and that prompt is a little bit different than other competitions, whereas it's more than just a word or an idea. It's more of a sentence or a few sentences that allow you to kind of play illustrator, and we're going to try to kind of play art director, and that allows us to really critique some of the illustrations as basically as if an art director were looking at it. Anyone can enter for free. We give 5 critiques. There's 3 winners. And if you win, you can't win again for a year. And we have a twist on this tonight that we're going to talk about in just a second. But before we do that, why do we do this, Jake?
Why do we do this?
What,
You
what,
totally put me on the spot.
I want to just I want to just throw that out there and really kind of just nail you.
Because it was your idea, and you get what you want.
And I get whatever I want. Well,
No, I think we do it because we like try to give back a little bit
yeah,
uh, as artists. Yeah, uh, we always look at ways that we can help people in our community like grow and improve. And we really can't give everybody critiques every single, time they post our work. That's
right.
frustrating. But
And this was kind of our answer to that, right?
yeah, we can
Is
give some critiques sometimes.
Right. And so we thought, why not do it where we can include more people? And even though, because that's the thing that we've been asked for the most with our classes is can we get private critiques and stuff? And with our schedules, it's just been really tough. So we thought we can definitely set aside a night for this once a month and be able
Hmm.
to get to it. And it's just fun. I think it's a really fun thing to do. And I think we all have fun doing it. Um, and then the last thing is we post the video to YouTube. So if you're seeing this on Facebook or anywhere else, all of these videos will end up on our channel. If you can't join in one night, you can still submit, and then you can watch and see later on if yours was picked. Now, so tonight, what's different is we're going to introduce something called Top Half.
Hmm.
And so the twist on that is the idea that there's a lot of people entering, and there's only 5 slots for real recognition. And so what we thought we would do is actually pick the top half of illustrations entered every time and give a little bit more recognition to the people that made top half. Now,
Hmm.
that also might have the reverse effect. And one thing that frightens me a little bit is that people that don't make the top half will feel bad. That's not the attempt here. I actually started doing this in my college class as a motivator. And I asked my students if they liked it, and they loved it. And they, even the ones that weren't getting in regularly, said, "I know what I need to do. I'm looking at the other work, and I can see where mine is falling short. And we're not always going to get it right. When we choose the top half, we're going to get it wrong sometimes. But I think most of them will probably get right. And I
Right.
think that hopefully it ends up being a motivator for anybody who doesn't get in, so that the next
Hmm.
month the hope is that you can basically be one out of be in the top 50%, I guess, right?
That's right.
So good. And Tracy's saying she gets really motivated in the forums too. And yeah,
Yeah.
we've got a lot of good stuff, and I really have wished that I had more time to get in there. I need to make more time for that. Okay, so
Me too.
without further ado, let's look at the entrance first. We're going to look at everybody's and
Hmm.
just kind of scroll through and just
Hmm.
kind of take a look at everybody's entry first, and then I'll reveal the ones that made it into the top half. So and again, I'm always blown away by the amazing work that comes through. I mean, it's just some
Yeah.
really, really fun designs, some really, really fun ideas. Um, and it's just, it's just amazing how you can have one sentence
And
and
you
see
get so many
so
different
many
views.
different interpretations of that one sentence is
Right.
just mind-boggling. And I know I say that same thing every time, but
It's a cute bat.
yeah, it is.
I I like that dinosaur one.
I do too.
That's fun. That one made top half, didn't it?
Yeah.
I guess we won't say. Yeah.
You're not supposed to say anything yet.
Well, what surprised me about all the entries is how many. Um, wait, Char go go back down. I just want to read. As Charlie walked deeper into the forest, he heard singing and dancing. He peeked out from behind a huge tree and saw. So everybody kind of put Charlie behind the tree because that's what the word said. But I was surprised at how many put him in the lower left-hand corner.
Uh-huh.
Um, from the back view. I thought
Yeah,
that was interesting.
it is. Okay, we'll keep going here. A lot of good entries. I had a lot of people that emailed us too and said that with starting school, they just couldn't enter. So we got
Hmm.
quite a few emails that way, trying to get the kids back into school and stuff. And so was that hard for any of you guys? I wonder if in the chat we'll see anybody that
I imagine. Oh, that's kind of cool. A
it
bear
is.
with. Is that a bear with antlers or is that a fat deer?
It's a cute deer.
It is a cute deer.
It's endearing. Ooh, that was bad. That was really bad.
Like the little bow tie.
Yeah.
This one was interesting with
Yeah, that
the.
was a really the Mayan influence.
Yeah.
That was really interesting.
I don't know if it's Mayan or like Indonesian or something.
Yeah.
It's cool.
So um also we tried to choose the illustrations that really illustrated the text the most. Some of them did a better job than others.
Hmm.
And again, when you've got this many entries, there's when you come down to narrowing it down to five, it's really tough, and there's toss-ups, and again, we're going to get some of them wrong,
Hmm.
no doubt, um, that it's just impossible to when something's this subjective. But in general, we're looking to see, who satisfied the assignment, and we're also kind of looking at this from the publishing aspect. Last month, Jake, I think you were looking at it more from the comic book industry, and this month
Hmm.
is more from the children's book industry. And so that's kind of some of our criteria. Okay, so now let's look at the ones that made the top half.
Top half.
Okay, so here we go. You see that Aaron put that little hat in there?
Yeah, I thought it was funny.
So there you go. There's a good shot of it, and if you're watching the video, you might want to pause it now, just to
Hmm.
kind of check it out. But um,
Congratulations, top
yeah,
halfers.
congratulations, and I think we're gonna do this every time. If you don't like this, you can definitely let us know, and if we get enough complaints, maybe we won't do top half.
If you love it, let us know too, and
Yeah.
we'll have a battle between the haters and the lovers.
Okay. All right. So there's the
Good
top
job,
half.
top halfers.
Yeah.
I'm gonna round of applause.
Yeah. Woo. Okay. So let's go ahead and start with our first choice tonight.
Hmm.
And let's get rid of this.
Are you first or me?
I'm going first. And so it was Jason Baskin is our first
Mm.
one. Isn't that the one of the ones you liked? The
Yeah,
dinosaurs? Yeah.
yeah.
I like
Cute
this one a lot. And
dinosaurs.
there's really, this was so well designed that there wasn't a ton of things that I needed to do to tweak it a little bit. And when I say I needed to do, that's probably the wrong way to say it. Um, I have my the things that I think I would do a little bit differently. If Jake was to critique it, he would find different things. Hopefully, some of the things that we do, would overlap a little bit. Um, but for me, let's see. Let's look at some of the things. So the first thing is I want to. I think you've got um, just a lot of space in here that's not being utilized, and it kind of feels, it feels like foresty, but kind of empty. One thing I do really like about this, I would say, is the line work. I really
Hmm.
love this subtle line work in the background. I don't know if you can see that, but this, do you like that, Jake?
Yeah,
This,
that's cool.
yeah, it's really nicely done. It's hard to do. It's harder to do than you'd think, to do this real soft, subtle line work. And what that does is it really makes it consistent with the fact that he's got line work in the foreground. What a lot of people will do is they won't have any line work in the background, and then it looks like you've got two different styles going on. So his definitely gets style points. Um, but what I wanted to do on this one was I want to just paint that little kid out, and I already did this ahead of time, obviously,
Hmm.
and move him over a little bit.
Mm.
So see that like he was over here in the corner, and I just think he might look a little bit better if he's out a little bit more. But I think now maybe he's not revealed or he's revealed a little too much. So maybe there's a little bit more foliage in there that he can still hide behind. Again, it's kind of a judgment call, but I kind of feel like getting him out there will help integrate him into the picture and utilize the space a little bit more.
Yeah.
One of the things that you have to keep in mind is that we talk about in our classes, we talk about positive and negative space, and the positive space are these animals and the trees, basically the objects, and the negative space is just as important. And I can tell that Jason's already a good designer because of the way he's overlapping these characters and he's utilizing space really well, and this neck kind of leads us back in. So I think it's just that little tweak is the only one I would do on space. Another thing that I would do is, let's zoom out just a little bit, is you look at that type, and one thing that you'll see when editors look at your piece, and the reason I want to critique your type is because I think if you put this in your portfolio, it really does matter that if an art director or editor is looking at your piece, that it really looks as professional as possible. And I think that your background is just a little too dark to surprint over. Yes, it's legible. Yes, you can read it. But in the graphic design world, the picky world of graphic designers, they would want that background to be a little bit lighter. So I just lighten that up a little bit and then drop some text on top of it like that.
Hmm.
And so that just lets it pop a little bit more. Again, another thing is that in this what would you call it, in the children's book world, the it seems like the prevailing taste is for lighter, airier illustrations. And
Hmm.
so I think lightening that up is probably better for that too. A lot of art directors and editors like light-hearted books, light. What am I trying to say? Like not pastel so much, but
Yeah.
relief areas, lighter.
Hmm.
What would you
How would
call it?
they would not so murky, I guess.
Yeah,
I don't know.
not as heavy, lighter,
Yeah,
just lighter. Um,
opposite of light, heavy.
yeah,
Not opposite of heavy, lighter.
yeah. The last thing I did, and I want to get your take on this, Jake. Would you do
Hmm.
this? I enhanced the color just a little bit.
Hmm.
And the reason is I feel like the shadow areas kind of die a little bit.
Yeah.
When you use black to make shadow areas, you can make some really bold and really compelling illustrations, but often for children's books, it ends up becoming a little bit too dark and maybe a little bit
Right.
too not happy.
Hmm.
you know. So
Right.
I like to put a little color in those shadow areas. The only other last thing is um, I I really believe strongly that people look at faces and hands, and I think that
Hmm.
they're really important. So I actually worked on that hand just a little bit, and if we go back and look at the other hand,
Hmm.
it's frumpy, and the arm kind of doesn't really have an elbow, and I
Hmm.
I think that you have an elbow on the other arm, but you didn't put one on let's see, this one here. And I think if I can turn off these other layers, just look at that. It looks like that arm is a little short too. And those things matter. Those are the things that keep me up at night and get me.
Hmm.
I end up working like 2 or 3 extra hours after I think I'm done. Little things like that. You don't have that problem, right, Jake?
No, I get that problem. I do.
It's the little things that you end up having to fix.
Right.
Okay, so that's my critique on this one. I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay. Let me hit that show my screen button. All right, so this is Danette's piece, and I really like the energy
Who's that
that's
one?
coming from
That
this
one
piece.
is
Danette?
Bayet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
buy it. That's right.
Yeah.
So I really like the energy that's happening here. I like your characters. Uh, I think though, I think some of the problems here are number one, it's just tilted so far uh, on this axis that it is a little unsettling. And I'm fine with tilting it, but I think he just went a little too far with that. So I did a version here where I tilted it back a little bit.
So when
And
when would that be appropriate?
to tilt that far,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think if you really want to make um,
Because it's cool looking. Can you go back to the original one?
yeah, it's
It has a
cool
lot
looking.
of dynamic. I mean,
Hmm.
it's unexpected, right?
Hmm.
But is that
Yeah,
always a good thing?
yeah. I think for me, my personal taste, it's if it's sacrificing the legibility of the piece, like if
Hmm.
you have to tilt your head a little bit to look at it,
Hmm.
then you've gone too far. So here I've rotated it. It still has that slight rotation to it, and so you get some of that, but then it's also um, leveled out enough that it's not it's not unsettling enough in the composition, I
Hmm.
think. So I would just tilt that. Second, well, I also just want to say I like how everything sort of has a face, the trees and the rock, and there's a little like hidden face in the water there too. I think that's
Hmm.
good. Second, I think design-wise, um, well, before I go into design, compositionally, um, it does get a little flat. Um, this perspective as we're going off, um, you could look at it in a way that that he's sort of on a flat backdrop and he's next to a very small camper instead of the camper being off in the distance farther. And so
What's creating
what
that?
yeah, so I think what's creating that is you don't have enough visual cues training our eye to go off into the perspective. You just have these trees here, those trees back there, and I think one thing you could do is have like something overlapping that, covering it a little bit. Maybe have shadows underneath all of these.
That put them on the
If
ground a
there's,
little bit more.
yeah, you put shadows under there, it attaches them to their place in the ground.
Hmm.
You've got a shadow under this guy, but none of these other things have shadows. And so what that kind of does is it shows that they're going off in the distance. The other thing too is I think this camper is a little too skewed. Like maybe you could squish it up even more. Um,
I
it
like the camper.
feels a little stretched.
I'm going to defend the camper, but that's okay. Like,
Okay.
we would both draw it a little bit differently.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would draw it more like
So
that did.
so there's that, and then you could also add like tufts of grass that are big here, and then a little bit smaller here and tinier back here, and that just helps out with that, with with those visual cues as well, showing that this is receding.
Hmm.
Um, okay, design-wise, this leg is a lot. It's about half the size of this leg. So you just want to watch those things. I actually like the proportions here of this, so I'd want to keep that there like that. So if you want this like longer, then you can stretch it out like that instead of having um,
Well, I'm a little confused. What is the problem with the? Can you zoom in maybe and just show us a little bit more?
yeah. Okay, I'll do another draw over here. So you see the length of this
Yeah.
leg
You
is
know what?
so much shorter.
I couldn't see it hitting the ground.
Yeah,
I
not
thought
here.
that the character was jumping up, and so
Hmm.
I just didn't see that how long that foot was.
Yeah, so this foot's coming all the way down there. Now, if you want one leg on the ground and one leg up, then I think what you do is you need to make these things the same length,
Mhm.
but you can stretch this leg out like that instead of having that bend there, and then you can like really bend this one. Okay.
It's like
Um,
magic watching you do that.
and then the arms too, like that's a really short arm, so you can bring that one out there like that, do like that. Um,
It's a
and
fun
then
little gesture.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And the
I think
beaver is definitely surprised.
oh yeah, that's good. That's a good surprise beaver. Um, on this beaver though, we've got like this arm that's broken. I think you want to probably have something like that happening
Yeah.
instead of
So
it
how
just.
when you don't know how to make an arm do what you want,
Mhm.
what's the best thing to do?
You have to visualize basically this character's bones, right? So I'm going to draw the spine and his torso, and then he's got like the belly and the spine like comes down here. Then you have his hips, and then you'd have like his legs, and you'd have arms like this, you know. So if you can draw basically a glorified stick figure,
Hmm.
then you can go in and start adding the meat to it.
We're doing that in our
And
class at UVU, and it is so helpful.
yeah,
I'm seeing improvement happening so fast. And then you just start to thicken everything up.
yeah.
Don't thicken in the
So
wrong places.
this tail is going to attach here and here, so you might even cover up that foot. You know,
Hmm.
if you want to tilt his rump a little bit, you can have it like swing around there, and then you can have it do like that, and maybe that foot we see
A
less of that
tilted
foot being
beaver
there.
rump.
Yeah.
That's
Okay,
cool.
so that's your beaver. Um,
That's cool.
and then I also watch, you know, this gets a little clumsy. Um, usually there's a, a, a bit of you know less of a. I mean, this feels like a baseball bat that has an axe stuck on the end. You know, maybe you want to just have be a little bit more axy.
So it's important to even those simple little shapes really
Mhm.
communicate what that
Yeah,
object is. Because you know
yeah.
you're right. You because they don't want it slinging out of your hand. They always curve that handle
Hmm.
so that there's a little more to friction in your hand. You don't kill somebody.
Yeah. I think too, like having this rock be round on the bottom, and that tree.
Those ellipses will tell the story of perspective as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
kind of what you did here. This is good. Do that with the tree over there.
it's
Okay.
really a fun piece. There's a lot of good color and a lot of dynamic uh, shapes and angles and
Hmm.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think the color's great. It's just design wise, it's a little, you know, things get a little wonky in places.
Right.
But overall, good piece. All right.
All right. So I will take it back. And tell me if you're seeing my screen there.
There it is. See
Okay.
it.
So this one is getting covered up by the, I might have to zoom out a little bit. I wanted to show it really nice and big, but anyway, this one is from Katrina Fowler. I think she's here tonight too, and she's on like no sleep. I saw on Facebook that she stayed up all night. Katrina, I'm gonna unmute you, but if you don't want to speak, you don't have to. Okay, you can speak if you want to.
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Are you still awake?
Yeah, I have about 2 hours of sleep.
Oh my
Oh
gosh.
boy.
Well,
It's
this
all
is
worth it.
yeah, this is a really really fun piece, and she posted it today on Facebook. Can you tell me a little bit about the story?
Well, I just wanted some mystery and kind of finding the mystery in what Charlie's seeing in these
Mm-hmm.
little. It was like a parade,
Mm-hmm.
and I just had a great time doing it. I showed like a whole progression on the forums and how I kind of came
Oh,
about
cool.
this design.
I think it's
That's
really
great.
fun.
Yeah, it turned out so good.
I think it's fun. One of the things that I really liked about this one was that you took the story into your own hands and kind of just made up this whole idea. And that's one thing that we're looking for is, you definitely know who Charlie is, and you definitely see the group of people that are having a good time and partying and dancing. And it's adding the bridge element in there. I think is really fun. You've got the forest going on, and yeah, it's just super fun. Um,
Thank you.
so the things that I would do differently if I can remember, one, I'm looking at this little girl right here, and out of all the characters that we're seeing, the four, she's kind of doing her own. She's like stopped, and I wonder if it would be better if she was doing something more like the others, kind of dancing along.
Mhm.
That's not necessarily a right or wrong thing, but that's like everybody is kind of traveling along, and then she's kind of stopped,
She's
and
standing.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that might be one thing I would look at changing. Again, I don't know what you had in mind, but that was just kind of a suggestion. It was really actually hard to find too many things that I would do differently on yours. It was designed so nicely.
I
Um,
guess I was just more focused on her silhouette and seeing the tambourine in her hand than
yeah, and it's
her
fun, and it
pose.
would definitely be harder to get her in profile. But I thought maybe if her arm is going up over her head, maybe the tambourines will show
Mhm.
like that if she's kind of dancing up there. Um, let's see, what's the next thing here? So I thought that, and let's just zoom out a little bit. I thought that maybe darkening those trees in the foreground. What do you think, Jake? Do you want to put eyes on this?
Mm, yeah. Yeah. No, I think the trees are plenty dark. I think maybe it's lightening. Oh, I see. I see what you're saying there.
Yeah,
Darkening the lines in the tree.
yeah,
Um, yeah, yeah, that does help push them like aside so you
Mhm.
can look past them. I think that's a good idea. If
Okay.
anything, you might want to lighten up the forest back there just a hint.
yeah. Even lighten it up a little bit more.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, really, there just wasn't a whole lot. One thing that I might add is, and this is a judgment call. I don't, what will you say about this, Jake?
Hmm.
Um, I hesitate to even say it because I don't think it's right. But I mean, you have texture and everything except the sky, and I just wonder. One of the things I really try to get away from is using stock tools in Photoshop, and
Uh,
having like the ability to use that
The
airbrush.
gradient tool.
Yeah, I mean, like it's so good, but could there be some texture in there as well that's really subtle that really makes it
Mhm.
yours instead of Photoshop's? That's just a question I'm throwing out there. It's not a right or wrong thing.
Yeah, I
Um,
just didn't want it to be too textury, you know how they
right,
can
and
just
that's
be
the
too
that's the thing.
overdone.
You can overcook it real easy, and so the trick might be to add something that's subtle but not overpowering. again, that's a judgment call thing. The last thing I thought that could maybe enhance this, and this is another kind of a judgment thing, would be to add in some shadows on these trees. And I think that that you've got such a nice sunset. What would happen if we had some shadows coming off of the tree and coming back here and letting some of that light come through like that? I don't
Oh
know.
yeah,
So let's
that's right.
take
I
it.
didn't give my little guy a shadow as well.
Oops,
Hmm.
I did it on the wrong layer. Let me do that again, just so we can see it. I'm the wrong layer guy. I get on the wrong layer a lot. I know nobody else does that. I like to be able to toggle it on and off. So just something simple like that. I think, in fact, sometimes we can see it better if we zoom out. But I think what that does
Yeah.
is it borrows a little bit from the light that you already have coming from the sunset and kind of pays homage to that a little bit and
Hmm.
acknowledges it. Other than that, I really wouldn't do much else. How about you, Jake?
Well, the little spirit guys, the little sprites,
Mm-hmm.
um, they're really not popping enough, I don't think. The one in the forest is on the left,
That's
but
Charlie, right?
no.
Yes.
Yeah.
The one right
I'm
by
talking about
the,
this one here.
yeah, that one. He could maybe push him a little bit more, but definitely the one to the right there in front of the orange, like he gets
Oh, good
really
call.
lost.
Yeah. So that's a tough one. How would you put a little spirit there and still in the light like that? It's
I
almost
just lighten him.
impossible.
I just lighten him up.
To
Yeah,
white?
I tried to keep them pretty transparent, but I guess I could make them more solid. And should I give them a glow maybe?
Yeah, you could do that, kind of how you did. You might treat them the same way you did the lanterns.
Mm-hmm.
Which is what?
Well,
A
darker around
little,
the
a
edges
little
and really
darker.
light in the middle.
So just like
Yeah.
coming along here and just kind of, that's probably not dark enough.
Yeah, but that type of thing would help, I think.
Yeah, you did it with the lanterns.
Yeah.
I wonder what that looks like. Maybe. Anyway, great job,
Yeah.
and thanks
Thank-
for staying up all night.
Yeah. Thanks for the critique. I'll post some updates on the forum.
Okay, great.
Cool.
All
Thank you.
right, thank you. Uh-huh. Okay, Mr. Jake, going
All
back
right.
at you.
Okay, I have Marlo Garnsworthy's image,
Yep.
and I really like this one. When I was flipping through them all, this one stuck out to me as as one of the nicest ones. I love these textures that you're getting in the trees from just modeling them up from the
Hmm.
line work. I think that's great, even in the characters as well. So overall, it's a really good piece. Um, Compositionally, I think it's pretty solid. You got you've got this first read of like the thing singing, this ferret that's singing, and your eye sort of just wanders around until it sees the person behind the tree. Um, I think though what might help is he does get really lost. It's if you squint down, you can barely tell that there's a person there. And so what I think would be helpful is to add some highlights from this guy, like a secondary lighting source hitting him, and then also this tree over here having some light hitting that as well, just so that it doesn't frame this middle section too much, because there's a pretty dark frame surrounding the whole thing. I did a little paint over here, so you can see kind of what that adds to it, just by adding um, a little bit of this rim light on the side here and on this side here really defines this character and brings him out. And then adding a little bit of light hitting this tree. It makes it feel like this tree is a part of the scene a little more than being something that we're looking past. So you can see the difference that just that
Mm-hmm.
makes a little bit. That said, we've got these shafts of light coming down here. I think this one's a little too strong because it obscures the bear and the deer a little too much. And I would tone that down some so that we could see them. You could kind of hint at it maybe coming through the trees, but then it really tones down, and then you can pop up your, keep this guy bright so that it shows that the light's hitting him. And then lastly, and then I'll let you give any final words, Will. There's just a few design things that are a little weird with some of the characters. So you have this bear with this big crease happening right there, and usually the way that bodies work on these four-legged animals is when the knee comes up like this. It sort of all just kind of absorbs into this thing. It's hard to have such a big line going up that way. I think that throws me off. So I think what you could do is, just kind of have that bear doing that. And I think you'd still get the same feel, but it would feel more bear-like instead of like man in a suit feeling. And then the way that an owl's wings work or a bird's wings work, these are a little too stiff, a little too generic. You might want to do something like that has a little bend to it. And then your rabbit here, he's a little, I think it's a little too leggy and compact, so maybe you have a bit of a sack shape, and then you can add these legs to it.
So are you saying it's like he's not full enough in the bottom area?
Yeah, it feels a little too leggy.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting. I've noticed that the students in my class that are at UVU this semester, most of them want to make limbs on animals really long. I think that's a natural thing. I think it comes from our knowledge of the human form.
Yeah.
Applying it, and I think what it is in our minds where we don't really think that we can accomplish the same thing with tiny little suggestions of legs.
Yeah, you could still have really long feet, but typically a rabbit has this kind of thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
At least a cartoon rabbit. Instead of ball, it's more of like this kind of pear shape.
One of the things I loved about this one is the gestures of the animals. I mean, even though there's some anatomy things that you're pointing out, I think that the gestures in general are really dramatic. I mean, the fox really dipping the rabbit down,
Yeah, this is nice.
It's just really fun stuff. For me, just a couple little things would be, since I would probably, I don't know, I like frumpy animals. I'd probably think of the fox, but that's a preference thing. Maybe it's a thin fox in the story. Probably a bigger thing would be just where the owl is and the skunk and the bird. They're so close, but yet not. They're kind of just almost touching.
Yeah, you're right.
Forming some tangents there. I'd either have them overlapping or give them a little breathing room from each other. But the only other comment I would have is to color. And one of the things that I look for is, I think that when you choose lighting, like that cold lighting, that white lighting, it's suggestive of moonlight. And the problem with moonlight is it's so cold that it just turns everything cool. And when you have
Hmm.
those really warm greens in there, it 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 kind of does look enchanted, kind of magical, but not of this world, kind of weird.
Hmm.
That can be
Kind of like.
good, but it can also send the wrong message. I think you might be better off either making everything cold and then having a secondary light source in there, like a fire, a lantern, something that can add some warmth back in. What do you call that? Like a combustion light, combustible
Yeah.
light.
Yeah.
Um, if you want warmth, if you want everything cold, you can have moonlight, but you can keep everything in the blues and purples and really cold greens. But when you start to get in those warm greens, and when I say warm green, I'm talking about it's starting to go towards yellow, and then the next color over is orange, which is the warmest color. And so just by moving around the color wheel that way, it's starting to warm it up. So that would be my thing. But I think the color in general is really interesting because she's got that red against the green, and so it's really captivating when you first look at it.
Mm.
Yeah, that's some nice rim lighting there.
I think that helps too.
Yeah. So anyway, great piece. Okay, so we have one last one,
Hmm.
and um, let me get ready here before I share my screen. And this last one is, do you see it yet?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so it's Becky's. I think she's here. Um, I'm gonna unmute you, Becky. If it's too noisy at your house, we don't have to have you. Can you say something?
Yeah, I can try. I have a thunderstorm going on right now,
Oh,
Oh
nice.
wow.
so I've been kicked off a couple of times already.
Well, really nice piece. And
Thank you.
one of the things that drew me to this one was just how consistent it is overall. Um, it's just got a lot of real nice consistency to the line work, to the textures, to the way that colors applied. And are you taking a screenshot of this one?
No, no.
Oh,
I'm gonna let you do it.
okay. So whenever you start drawing, I think, oh, what's he got? What's he cooking over there? You can always hear your
That's right.
your sense of humor really good. Um, anyway, so yeah, and there's just some things that I wonder about, and some things I tried. Again, these are really judgment calls because your style is so consistent that I'm
That's
def
fine. I appreciate any critique. So
okay. I'm not saying this is right. I'm just saying this is another way to look at it, maybe. So one thing I looked at was the mama. The kids are really kind of animated and they have these really fun gestures. I mean, that's so cute right there. Mama
Hmm.
is more stoic, and that's probably accurate. I mean, like, moms are not going to be dancing around, but I'm just wondering if maybe she could have, and I just roughed this one out real quick, just more of like a gesture of bringing the cake and maybe bending over and like presenting it to him. I don't know.
okay.
That's just an idea. Another thing that I thought was it's so bright overall and so colorful overall that I wonder would it would it be more would it create more of a focal point to kind of dull the colors down in some areas and enhance them in others. So I kind of went
Yeah, I think it
through and
started with too bright of a green.
well, and the thing is, and this if you saw my early work, it was all like that. And I started to realize that you can actually guide the viewer a little more if you're a little more selective in where you pop out those colors. So
Hmm.
I
Okay.
just kind of toned it down a little bit, and then the other thing along with that is again I was on the wrong layer is you get the trees there too, and I feel like it's just a little empty, you know. And so I added in some trees. Now that's not a right or wrong thing again, but I think what it does is it can add a little bit more interest and make the forest feel like it's a little more filled, for
Gotcha.
lack of a better word. And then I thought, maybe if she had like a tree stump or something to put the cake down on, so they can actually,
Oh yeah.
have a party. Because, if you show up and there's just grass, it might be kind of hard to. So, I'm cluttering it up a little bit, but I think that I'm trying to add a little bit of, rhyme to the reason there.
Adds a little more atmosphere to it, a little
Yeah,
Yeah.
believability.
yeah. Um, I dulled him out and just grayed the little kid out a little bit so that he's maybe blending into the forest a little more.
Okay.
I don't know. That's just a real subtle thing. And then I went ahead and enhanced the color just a little bit on the focal point so that it kind of pops the kids a little bit more or the foxes, and then kind of pushes that
Okay.
little kid in the background a little more, and then put some little fireflies in there. Again, I don't know if like yours, because you didn't have strong shadows, it could have been daytime, but with those blues it could have also been dusk. So I kind of took it that route. But if it's supposed to be daytime, you wouldn't see the fireflies. Um,
Right.
so anyway,
No,
um,
very cool. Thank you.
yeah, you're welcome. Do you have anything else on that one, Jake?
No, I think you're dead on, and especially that changing the pose of the mom so she's engaging them a little more. I think that's great. Um, I probably, one thing with the tree and the leaves is maybe add a little more dimension to them, by even showing the other side of the tree
The
that
other
kind
side
of
of the
hangs
tree.
down,
Okay.
Yeah,
you know,
you're big
Yeah.
on
underneath.
that. Yeah, he loves. Look at some of Jake's drawings. He really he overdoes that, Becky.
Overdose.
He overcooks it in a good way. So anyway, great job, and
Yeah.
this really fun illustrations, and this one was
Thank you.
so
I
cute.
appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, so our winners tonight are the three winners are going to be Jason, Katrina, and Marlo. And so if you want to go ahead and contact Aaron, Aaron is at svslearninfo@gmail.com, and I'll put it in the chat.
Aaron already did.
Oh,
Beat you to it.
did he? Okay. Yeah, tell him that you're the winner. Now, another thing is with the top half, we're starting to develop quite a backlist of winners that aren't eligible, and that's a good thing for people that are joining in, but it's kind of a bad thing for them. So you can still make it in the top half though. So if
Mhm.
you've already won, you can keep entering, and then you can make it into that top half again, and
Right.
that way it's kind of another thing to keep us going.
Put that on your resume. You made the top half of the third Thursday SBS critiques.
Yeah. All right, great. And so Myra says, I'm super noob. This was the first illustration I ever finished. Wow. Thanks for the inspiration and the deadline. Congrats to the winners. I wasn't in the top half, but I like it. Okay, great. Thank you for that. And
Yeah.
you know what? I think most of us, it is really hard to do this on your own, to give yourself assignments. So
Yeah.
doing something like this, where there's a deadline, if you keep doing it month after month after month, you're only going to get better.
Hmm. That's right.